Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you and peace out to the rest of you. Black heart, black mind, blacking again with the share button. No, I'm asking you to hit the share button. Listen, in my address to Mrs. Pope, I spent the second half saying that if a Muslim sister, a particular Muslimah, stopped entertaining engagement, marriage discussions with men she had no intention of marrying, so as to get, cash and prizes and gifts from these men, then, and she said either I was joking in the video or I stopped doing this, I would take down these two recordings. Well, actually, in this case, I would not have made this recording and I would not discuss it any further. What I got yesterday was a post. Someone posted this to the group to which we both belong. She saw the video. I told you all I would know when she saw it. And she responded by saying, tell him to do it, meaning tell him to say who I am. Mrs. NL, let me explain something to you, ma'am. When it comes to sins, there are two contexts I'm aware of. There may be more, but there are two contexts I'm aware of in which we're not required to cover them up. I want to tell you what they are. When you have to discuss a possible business arrangement, the two potential business partners are allowed to ask people about each other. The people are supposed to tell the truth, good and bad, about what they know and about what they've heard. Now, ideally, a Muslim would say, well, this is the bad I heard. I don't have proof. I don't know if it's true. This is the good that I've heard. I don't know if it's true. This is the bad I know. This is the good I know. Ideally, a Muslim would separate the two. Now, point is, if someone comes to me and asks you about marrying you, what's your character like? What do I know? The good and bad. I'm not saying I know you. What I am saying is that I'm supposed to say the good and bad that I do know and vice versa. You can go and ask me. I'm in a discussion with so-and-so about marriage. What's the good and bad you know about him? And I would say to you the good and bad that I'm aware of. I'm supposed to, because at that point it's not backbiting nor slander. Slander is when you make it up, but it's not backbiting because you're not taking them to a Sharia court. You're not trying to ruin their reputation. You're simply helping someone make a smart marriage or business decision. You have taken marriage engagements as a business. So not only that, you put yourself on a video with your own camera phone aimed at your face, bragging about this after the host of the show said that the pattern he's addressing is when sisters engage multiple men in marriage discussions, taking cash, gifts, and prizes, and then ghosting these men, marrying neither of them. I'm going to be fair, Mrs. NL. You did not ever explicitly confess to doing the same thing to multiple men at one time. And you did say you're not going to lie to them about what the money is going to be used for. And you certainly would not trick them into thinking that they're giving sadaqah. You just let them know you want new shoes or whatever the case is. I admire the honesty. And that's why I'm trying to tell people that you actually do have certain limits that you would not cross even. I'm telling the public this right now. Without telling your name, I'm telling the public even you got limits you wouldn't cross. The issue here is that you will cross a limit and you were ready to talk about it. And not only that, but when another lady was about to get on the show before she actually got connected, you were calling her a bunch of names like informant and snitch and cussing her smooth the F out. And when she finally got on and didn't snitch, you said, my bad, don't be mad. I thought you was coming here to snitch. Well, she did actually. So that means that whatever she did not snitch must be worse. That's killer. But both of y'all pretty much admitted this is like a second business for y'all. Like another little job. You both admitted this. Stop and think about this from men's perspective. If 5 men did finesse you out the drawers, like what you said these men are generally trying to do, which is why you justify getting that dough out of them. If 5 of them scammed you out them drawers, and no other man knew this, your value is not reduced. If a man comes across 5 women like you, and there are men who have that kind of bad luck, like there's no better out there. Ain't no do-I. That's not out there for them. Better than that, it's not out there. Like better than you, it's not out there. There are men out there that could come across that 5 times in a row, not because they dumb, but because they're not gonna have no better luck. They're short, or they're ugly, or hell, they're just normal. If a man goes through 5 women like that and loses that much money, that does decrease his value to the 6th. A woman that liked that man and found out that other women were able to do this to him would not say, oh, well, let me show him what real love is. She would instead say, oh, well, even though I liked him before, I don't want this nigga now, but I'm going to get that money. Just because he's out there doing this. That's who he is. That's what I'm going to take from him. I owe him no more than that. He let these other women take his money. He better let me take it. God forbid he gets smart with me when he wasn't that smart with the other ones. Then I'm going to talk about him bad in front of everybody like a dog. Yeah, that's what would happen. And you know it. So I'm playing fair. I'm not trying to blame you for anything that is not clear you did. Not at all. That's why it's not slander. And I'm still not putting your name out. I do not control what other men do. However, the link to the video that another man put up, I cannot blame him for one reason. The video's public, and you got on the show. You got on there with the camera pointed at you, talking to your mans about this scam you run, what you doing. You got on the video doing this. You didn't hide your name or your face. So when he posted it, he was posting a link to a public video. I can't say nothing to that man like you gotta take it down. I can advise him, because I don't have any plans to post a link up to that video, but I don't have a shorty leg or an Islamic leg to stand on and tell him he's got to take it down. It's already public. You hid nothing. I'm the one hiding your name, ma'am. You see, I'm doing it because of this. My motive, and hear me out, NL, because I know you maybe you ticked off, maybe you ain't sweating at all, but hear me out. Because I heard you out when you were on that show. I would do the same to the other lady too, but we don't know who she is. None of us know. I know who you are, I just won't say it out loud, except for the initials and where you live. And of course, something you said about yourself, but I don't know who she is. I don't know if she lives in Philly or Cleveland. I'm not sure. I know nothing about her to say it. And that's why this seems to be about you and not her, like I'm letting her off the hook. I just don't know. And I don't expect your man that was running the show to say who she was. But she had the sense to keep that much at least private, at the very least. Next, understand this. In order to play fair, what I wanted to do was to simply have any man in Cleveland that might be discussing marriage with you to contact either one of the other 2 men I mentioned and tagged, or me, and ask, does this name match, or does this photo match? And we would say it matches. Here's a link to prove it. Or no, they don't match. Good luck, brother. Assalamu alaikum. And that's only in the event, remember this, that's only in the event that you refuse to say, I was joking, or I've stopped doing that. You didn't. You actually told someone in a Facebook group, tell Black to do it. You said that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't be recording this right now. I wouldn't have put up the post on FB. I haven't put one up on Twitter yet, and I'm assuming that from your age, that's probably what your contemporaries are using. I haven't even put one up on there yet. I'm not trying to ruin your life per se. What I am, and I should be, because this is a war. Remember, in that recording where I addressed Ms. Pope the first half, and I discussed your case in the second half, remember, I did say this is war. I'm not the one that determined it's war. I'm just the one that realized it's war. This is a war that women in the West are waging against men, Western or non-Western. Take all you can take from him and give as little as possible. Unless, of course, he's a really no good but very charming type dude. Matter of fact, in that case, don't even take anything, just give. and then bring his baby to somebody else. I mean, that's what the game is. And a game like that is a war game. And let's be honest, one of the reasons that some man has to do this so that other men don't fall for this thing is because men could be intelligent but not know anything about women and therefore not know the games. Mothers don't even tell men what these games are. There's something about women that there's a bunch of things about women that most mothers do not tell their sons. Men tell their daughters things when they're young. When they're when a girl is too young to understand all the nuances of what kind of man is which, he says to her, all men, protect yourself. All men want that thing between your legs. We know that that's not the case, but we say that because this way she's on guard against every man. You understand? We do that favor for daughters when they're young. Mothers will watch their sons grow to 16, 26, and 36 and won't tell him what's messing up his chances with ever giving her grandchildren. They won't say it. That's war. Don't get me started on what aunts and grandmothers and older sisters won't tell the men in the family. So I got to do it. Because these men actually don't know that they should not. They don't know that not only they're not required, but they should not be out here dishing out cash and prizes. Even though you are honest about why you use it and you don't lie to them and tell them it's Sadiq or something like that, the fact is they still have not had anyone say to them, really, you should save your money. Just like she should save certain things for when she marries you, you should save your money and other things for when you marry her. No one says this to men. For men, we're told that we can't give enough. And then there are a few men that all of y'all want that learn early on they don't have to give a damn thing. But the majority of us are taught and shown we can never give enough. We never make the cut. We need to qualify for you, and you don't ever need to do anything to qualify for us. And that's all we got. That's all some men learn. That's why men who are otherwise intelligent and can earn a lot of money or not can't see through this game. They were told all their lives to not be pessimistic when it came to women, or don't think like that regarding women. No. Now we know, because I'm going to tell some men, you got to think like this about women, at least that you don't know. Then when you know them, you determine. I'm not going to tell you. You know better than I do. I'm not going to tell you what to think about her, but when you don't know her, you need to be pessimistic. She needs to qualify herself to you too, bruh. That's what this is about. It's a war, and you participated in it. I'm not happy to say that there's a war going on between men and women. Men ain't even the ones waging the war, NL. It's women, Western women. I just want men to not be victims. I want men that might be victimized by you to ask the question and then learn whether it's you or not. That's all. Learn whether they're talking to you or not. And if not, if they send a name or a face, a photo that doesn't match, I'm not going to say, no, this is who she is. You're the one you're talking to ain't it. I'm not going to do. I'm just going to say they don't match. I don't know anything, I don't know anything bad about the one you're talking to, man. Good luck, bro. Assalamu alaikum. May Allah bless it. I'm not going to sit up and put your name out to people who show me a name and face that's not yours. Even now, I'm not putting your name out there. So anybody else with the same initials as her, please fuck the shuck up. Take your comments down. And don't put any up there talking about some y'all talking about me. Don't do that, because that's a confession. And I'm not asking really even for a confession. I was asking you to simply say it was a joke, or I'm not going to do this anymore, or I was just going to have to let guys know. I was trying to avoid it. I was giving a deadline. I'm covering my bases. So there's no taking good deeds from me as far as I know. Because this ain't slander. This is me trying to help these brothers not be victims. And I would do the same thing for Muslim sisters, even Western Muslimahs who get on my further mucking nerves and get on many men's further mucking nerves. I would do the same for them, because fair is fair. I'm not going to help a brother oppress and take advantage of them, even though it's war. It's just that when brothers do this, one thing they're not doing is getting on camera, talking about it and bragging like, yeah, I'm doing that. Yeah, that's me. They ain't doing that, so I don't know who they are. That's the difference. And plus, they're probably fewer in number than the women that are willing to do the same thing. And I'm going to tell you another thing. This is not really about you, NL, just for the sake of being about you. There's a reason. As I mentioned, it's your name and face on the camera on that show, on a public video. But the other thing, too, is this. See, when I watched that whole thing, because somebody did alert me. When I watched that whole thing, I watched it with my wife. My wife said, is she just talking like this because she's cute? And I looked at my wife like, oh, so that's the mindset, huh? I mean, I can't ask her if that's why she's doing it, but I guess that is the mindset. I mean, we do see that there's a correlation between a woman's beauty in the West and a bad attitude. It's just, that's how we see it in the West. And she agreed to a certain extent. And anyway, the next morning I got up, got ready to teach my class, and I was checking Facebook after the prayer, and I looked in the group to which we both belong, and I saw where someone said something about you ladies being in some dude's DMs, and your response was, I ain't in no dude's DMs. I'm a black woman with green eyes. TF I look like. Pretty much saying that you're not in men's DMs because of reasons of modesty. No, actually, you're not in their DMs because of reasons of modesty. You're not in their DMs because you simply feel you're too good to do anything that might validate a man. Now, you make the right decision for the wrong reason, it doesn't count. To a certain extent, I mean. So what this means is that you do see it as being about you. Now, when I sent you a DM to invite you on my show to discuss colorism, I have an audience. And that really was my reason for sending you that message. When you said something to someone else about, is that the one that's stalking me? I don't know if there's somebody else stalking you or if you thought that I was trying to stalk you. But I have a show with an audience. It ain't that big. I got 1,960 subscribers as of the time that I'm recording this. But it is an audience. I've had men and women on my show talking about colorism. I have not flirted with anybody. I don't do that. It doesn't work that way. That's not the rules of modesty, Islamically speaking. You are nice to look at, but I don't flirt like that. And if I was going to do something like that in front of an audience, somebody would check me and I would lose audience members and I would lose credibility. And that's what I would get in this life. Now, in the next life, of course, I would lose then too. So I don't do it. I really have discussed colorism on my channel. If somebody else was stalking you, I'm sorry about that. I wouldn't wish that on you, but I don't know what you did based on what you yourself have said to provoke someone else that might have stalked you. Wasn't me, though. Next thing, I'm going to say this. Well, in actuality, I think that's everything. I've already gone on for almost 18 minutes now at this point. Again, I'm not trying to ruin your reputation by your name and face. I simply don't want men to be victims. That's it. Fair is fair. And your face and name are on a public video where you aimed a camera, your own phone, at your face and proudly talked about this stuff. And I'm aware of what you did not explicitly confess to, and I'm doing my best to avoid saying that you said you did anything you did not actually say that you've done. I simply want men to know, because you brag about, getting money from them under false pretenses, and your justification is, well, they trying to finesse us out some coochie. Actually, that is the last thing I wanted to mention. That reminds me. Last thing I wanted to mention. I don't know which men were trying to finesse you out the drawers and which ones weren't. I'm not sure. What I do know is that when a man does try to talk to you, and it's about marriage, if you give him your contact info, that's how he's going to reach you. If you give him your male representative's contact info, that's how he's going to reach you. At the end of the day, they go with the contact info that you give. So the question is going to be, if they were trying to finesse you out the drawers, and I don't know each man, and it's too much. I mean, obviously you've made some kind of income from it. I don't know how much, but I'm not going to ask you about each dude. What I am going to say, though, is try giving men your male representative's number and sifting through them, even though you're not going to get that much money. Can you do that? I'm not sure you could, but I recommend it. However, the men will take the contact info you give them. Now, unlike other videos, I hope that I get a response back, man, I was joking. Couldn't you tell? Or I'm not doing it anymore. I stopped however many months ago. In which case, I'll take this down. And if not, I got to leave it up. I'm not putting your name out there. I'm not the one that's going to do that. But I don't have a leg to stand on to tell any other men not to post a link to a public video like this in which you freely appeared showing yourself. But since before I knew all of this, I sent you a message inviting you on the show to talk about colorism because there was a comment that you made against colorism, actually. I can't remember what it was. I'm not going to go back and look. But since I did that, I do want to say this. There are stereotypes about black women that look like you. And unfortunately, you have not proven a single one of them false. At all. We have not ever so much as had a conversation, really. And yet and still, I've just from the behavior, you sat back and proven them true. Some of them true and others you just simply haven't proven false. And, you know, there are people that have something to say about that. I'm simply going to say that you're old enough to know better. That's all. And I'm not even saying that just to talk down to you. But we all got to be careful about what we're going to do and say publicly and privately. All of us got to. And that goes for me too. I got to be careful choosing my words now, and you're going to have to be the same way. I actually want to thank you for your honesty on that video. However, you sounded proud of doing something you would not tolerate men doing to you. That means your attitude is not one of even marriage, it's one of war. You heard me tell Ms. Pope that I'm aware that what women are doing to men in the West is war. So, if it's war, then, you know, men got to defend themselves. If you think that I have no fear of God and I had no fear of God, it's because I knew you were Muslim when I did this. But right now, as it stands, many people are seeing this and they're saying, well, if this is what it is, I don't want it. This is what you did and what you said, what your hijab on was anti-da'wah. And one of the reasons for my channel is actually da'wah. So I hope one day that I get to take this down. And I've left these ways out for you. But all you got to do is pick one. That's it. I was joking. Or I'm not doing this anymore, and I haven't been for whatever. I'm not even going to ask you how long ago you stopped if you say you stopped. But I've left you ways out. You simply didn't take them. So you can't sit up here and say, I want your good deeds. No, 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 no. What do we owe them for? If there's another reason, fine, but this ain't one of them. Neither I nor the gentleman that actually did post a link to the video owes you our good deeds for that. I wouldn't reveal your name, and I didn't put up the link. And when he put up the link, he only put one up to the public video. You didn't hide it. That's what it comes down to. No. You didn't hide it. Nobody can sit up and say that you didn't say those things. You can say that it was a joke. And frankly, it would be believable, to be honest with you. It's plausible. And I would take your word for it. You could say, you know what? I only got 2 dudes and I quit doing that after the second one. And that's plausible. And I'm willing to give all benefits of every doubt. Because I don't hate you, even though I probably should. But as far as you just having free reign to continue doing this and upset because I'm not going to sit back and allow it without giving men a way to defend themselves is not going to work. There is accountability. You're simply going to have to deal with accountability and the consequences of the choices you made, just like I have to do with the choices I've made. I don't escape the consequences. None of us do. You're not an exception. Actually, the other lady, she might be able to because she actually did not make a decision to go so public and so brazen with it. Maybe you can learn from her. And I really do want better for you than this. But first, these men got to be safe, just like you have a right to safety. I want to thank the whole audience for listening, and I hope it benefits you, NL. Assalamu alaikum to everybody. Black heart, black mind, blackout. Assalamu alaikum. And you know what? Just because the misandric feminists don't like it, black heterosexual non-select male power, and black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day with no apologies.